Next on BYUSN, the big reveal. Big 12 schedule release day has arrived, finally.
And what are the first things we're looking for when the schedule drops?
Welcome to BYU Sports Station, presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere. It is Tuesday, January 31st. I am Spencer Linton, alongside a man who has been dreaming about this day for almost 20 years. Maybe it's longer. Jason Shepard.
It's been since the day I was born. I didn't know why I was so excited about it. I didn't even know what the Big 12 was. Exactly. So 25. Fine, 26.
Okay.
It's finally here. It's finally here. The day we have all been waiting for. Spencer, this is sort of like, it was real when the announcement was made.
Yeah.
Now when we actually see a schedule and that BYU logo on a schedule, it's real.
It's a new level of reality.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Okay.
All right. Yes. All right. On today's show, what we're watching for in today's Big 12 football schedule release, we're looking for it all. I cannot wait. Mark Duran, the great Mark Duran, on how BYU hoops can turn it around. He'll join us on the program. How about this? Is Jamal Williams about to get paid? I think he hopes so, certainly. And the top 5 seasons this year for Cougars in the NFL. Here are today's headlines.
We just talked about it. The Big 12 schedule will be released at 2 p.m. Eastern. Again, what's the first Big 12 game? What's BYU's first Big 12 home game? What will rivalry week look like for the Cougars? All of those things discussed and revealed. Tune in at 2 Eastern, live on the BYUtv app for a BYU Sports Nation special, including that full breakdown and immediate reaction.
Senior Bowl practices began in Mobile, Alabama, with the game set for Saturday, February 4th. Familiar names such as Jaron Hall, Puka Nacua, and Blake Freeland will all be on the national team. Good luck to all 3.
On to BYU men's volleyball, specifically Tion Taylor, named the National Middle Blocker of the Week and MPSF Defensive Player of the Week. The Cougars up to number 11 in the latest AVCA coaches poll following an upset 5-set win against then number 6 UC Irvine.
Gymnastics had 3 Cougars earn MRGC accolades. Alex Mason and Kylie Equinto both earned Co-Vault Specialist of the Week. Elise Rollins was named Co-Beam Specialist of the Week. Gymnastics' next meet is this Friday against Southern Utah in Cedar City.
They're trending in the right direction. Scores getting better with every meet. BYU men's golf currently in 4th place in the Arizona Thunderbirds Invitational after day 1, sitting at a collective 15 under par, led by BYU's Zach Jones, who is tied for first individually at 10 under par. He shot a 65 yesterday. Tee-off delayed this morning due to frost on the ground. It's cold even in Arizona. It's cold everywhere in the country. All rise and shout. It's time for What's Trending.
To the end zone. The energy's too good. And he's got a touchdown. Intercepted. First turnover of the game.
Just about sealed the deal for his team.
This is what college football should look like. Goodness gracious! Really nicely done there. Look at this! Did that just happen? I don't know if there's a deeper league in college football. Big special going on. Touchdown! The Big 12 open for business.
Oh, yeah! A big day for a Big 12 reveal. What's Trending, presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event. The Big 12 is the MVP today. Jason, we await. It's an hour and 56 minutes away from the Big 12 officially releasing the schedule for all of the Big 12 teams. What is the first thing you will look for when BYU's version of the Big 12 schedule is revealed?
I surprised myself, because you would certainly think that the first thing you would look at is the first game, regardless of who it is, where it is, the first game you would play is the Big 12. But my immediate reaction to that question is, where's Texas? That's where there is nothing more Big 12 than Texas. And so I immediately want to see where Texas is on the schedule. I honestly want to see if Texas is on the schedule. There's been a lot of talk nationally that Texas and Oklahoma have put up a fight about not wanting to play the new schools.
They don't want the smoke?
I don't know if that's true or not. I have seen that. I know Dennis Dodd has talked about that in some of his pieces on CBS Sports. So I think I'm curious not just where Texas and Oklahoma are, certainly Texas, but if BYU gets an opportunity to face Texas and Oklahoma.
100%. Guilty as charged, Jason. Right there with you. Except it is Texas and Oklahoma. Just the two of those teams grouped together. Will BYU have an opportunity to play, if not one, but both of them, in what we believe will be the Sooners and Longhorns finale tour of the Big 12?
It feels that way.
I know that they are contracted to be in the Big 12 through 2025 until they go to the SEC. It feels like they're trying to get out at least 1 year early. So this might be the only opportunity for BYU to play Texas and Oklahoma as members of the Big 12 Conference. So, yeah, I'm with you. 100%. When that schedule comes out, where's Texas? Where's Oklahoma? Are those teams on the schedule? When does BYU play them? Where do they play them? I don't even care if BYU has to play 2 road games at Texas and at Oklahoma. I just want them on the schedule.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, like I said, those are the teams that you think of when you think of the Big 12. And so to have an opportunity, even if it's just for 1 year, to be able to play them, because BYU's played them separately at different times, to be able to play them as conference members, that's something on a completely different level. So to find out when and if you get an opportunity to play, I'm with you. Obviously, I would love to be able to have at least one of them in Provo. That would be fantastic. Whether that happens or not, I don't know. But to be able to play either of them or both, regardless of location, I think that's important. And then again, the other thing it comes back to is what does the schedule look like in terms of how difficult is it going to be for BYU? We know it's going to be difficult because it's a step up. It's a new level of competition. But you can sort of look, okay, well, where does the bye fall in? Okay, so how many games do you get to play, and who do you play after the bye? Who do you get a chance to have 2 weeks to prepare for? Those are all those things that are exciting to be able to look forward to with this schedule.
Not only are the brands huge from Texas and Oklahoma, which is why we kind of lean that direction, BYU has enjoyed almost strange success against those two programs, a combined 6-1 against Texas and Oklahoma.
There's almost, Spencer, a part of me that's like, maybe we don't want to face them because then we can always hang on to the record that BYU has against them.
4-1 against Texas, 2-0 against Oklahoma.
I mean, there's that part of me, that fan side that's like, well, maybe we just want to hold on to that record in our back pocket and have that to be able to talk about forever.
You went to the 2014 game.
Yes, in Austin.
Taysom Leap over Texas at Darrell K. Royal Memorial Stadium. I have not watched a college football game in that stadium, so selfishly, I kind of hope that BYU plays a road game at Texas. And I have not watched a college football game in Norman, Oklahoma either. So I wouldn't mind if BYU was on the road for both of those games. If that was the concession that had to happen so that BYU would get to play at Texas and Oklahoma, fine. So be it. I would love to watch college football games in those environments and atmospheres. And frankly, Oklahoma is not in a super great place right now. I don't think that Oklahoma is a world beater at this point. Who knows? 1 year can change everything. Just ask Sonny Dykes and TCU, who were picked to finish near the bottom of the barrel in the Big 12, if not the very bottom. So maybe Oklahoma's awesome. Great, whatever. Let's go. Give me Texas and Oklahoma. Give me an opportunity to watch big-time college football in big-time college stadiums. That's what I really, really want. And then we can go to the chronological factor, Jason. Right? So after Texas, Oklahoma said, okay, well, who is the first game? Who is BYU's first Big 12 game? And who's BYU's first home game in the Big 12 conference?
Well, look, and you've got the fact that you're going to play 9 conference games. So how, you're going to get 4 home and 5 road? You're going to get 5 home and 4 road? Like, those are all things that we have an opportunity to look at. And look, and we obviously, with there being 14 teams in the league, you're obviously not going to play 5 teams. So that does lend itself, if Texas and Oklahoma really put their foot down, it's like, we're not going to play these 4 new schools. That does give them the opportunity to, when you're not going to play 5, you could bypass all 4 new schools and then one other one, and then you're done. If what you and I both think is probably going to happen, where they leave after this upcoming season, it certainly lends itself to that. There's so many things. It's just if you think about it, it's just a schedule release. But there are so many things within the schedule that will answer questions that we have had for months.
Yes. Well, and again, it's the first. It's BYU's first Big 12 schedule. It's always bigger. Cincinnati's feeling the same way. UCF and Houston, they're feeling exactly, and those fan bases are feeling exactly what we're feeling in the BYU community, which is it's the first. So what is it going to look like? And all of those programs, probably like BYU fans, hoping that they get a shot at Texas and Oklahoma. It's not going to work out that way because there are 14 teams in the conference for this first football campaign. But, man, a lot of fun to speculate on. And for what it's worth, it appears that TCU had their schedule leaked last night. No official word from TCU's athletic department or the football team or the football administration. But if that schedule is true, then we know at least one BYU game, and that is a road trip to Dallas-Fort Worth on October 14th. So BYU would be taking on the national runners-up and the Big 12, regular season champions, but not the conference championship game champions, in Dallas-Fort Worth on October 14th. So a road game against TCU could be happening. We'll see if that is actually true.
If that turns out to be true, and that's obviously a place that BYU has played before, Amy G. Carter Stadium. I mean, as members, as conference members prior to that's one of those ones. Although the stadium is completely different now, they have added a significant number of seats, and the venue looks different
for sure
compared to what it was the last time BYU was in Fort Worth.
Got a little more money in cachet now.
A little more money, yeah. I mean, look, I'm also curious as to who BYU is slated to be rivals with.
Right. Who's in rivalry with?
Look, and we heard, now this was on the basketball side, that BYU and Iowa State may be paired up. So is that something that if that happens, say on the basketball side, is that what they're thinking on the football side? So is that BYU's rival?
Iowa State.
Look, I have my own opinion on where this goes. We're probably going to talk about this a little bit later on in the show.
We'll get to that later with the rivalries.
I think there are a couple of different options as to what BYU's rival could be, depending on how you look at it. And I actually flip-flop between two. I finally settled on one, but I'm not 100% confident because honestly, we don't know. That's the thing, is getting this schedule today, and we thought we were going to have it 4 months ago, and then it got kick down the road to the next month, and then the next month. That's the other thing. I'm going to assume that there's going to be not just the schedule release, but obviously comments from Commissioner Yormark. I hope we find out eventually why this took. What were the reasons why we went from finding out in November to then December to then January, now ultimately almost February.
Wow, this is where BYU fans are collectively. I saw a number of people on social media last night saying, I'm booking my hotel in Dallas-Fort Worth on October 12th, 13th, and 14th, just in
be
case.
Safe.
Just in case this TCU game is actually happening then. The excitement levels have reached an all-time high. And I get it. It's a lot of fun. There are some natural rivalries. TCU is one of them based on the history they have against BYU, but so much time has passed, and Gary Patterson's not the head coach at TCU anymore. So I wonder if there's been like an expired statute of limitations in that rivalry conversation with TCU.
To a certain extent, I think there has been.
Baylor is very quickly becoming an interesting idea as a rival for BYU, and it goes well beyond just what has happened on the football field. They have split the last 2 games in 2021 and 2022. They split the 2 back in '83 and '84, and those were dramatic games that you ask Steve Young about, that still haunt his nightmares in 1983, preventing a BYU undefeated season. But then all the off-the-field stuff, losing Caleb Lohner in basketball. The Barrington brothers are now competing for the Bears on the offensive line. You have 3 former BYU coaches on that staff, with Jeff Grimes and Eric Mateos and A.J. Stewart. There are some natural things already in place for that to become a rivalry. We'll see if the Big 12 feels that way. I doubt it. Maybe it is Iowa State. But again, You can't force it, Jason.
No.
You can't force it. Ask Utah and Colorado.
Yeah.
You can't force stuff like that. There just has to be like a natural
Didn't they give
buildup.
that a name? Wasn't it like the Rocky Mountain something? The Rocky Mountain
rivalry?
Rocky
Mountain Showdown?
See, Showdown is what I thought it was too. That stuff cannot be manufactured. Now, you can certainly try to, but that stuff just happens naturally. It happens organically.
Yes.
You can have a rivalry that's manufactured, but the ones that become rivals and rivalries organically, those are the ones that mean more.
Yes, they last.
And yes, you're right. Perfect. They're the ones that last.
BYU's rival will always be Utah.
Yes.
Regardless of going into the Big 12.
Yes.
It will always be Utah. There's just too much history there and too much bad blood and too many classic games that happened organically. We'll discuss a bunch more in about 30 minutes as it pertains to the Big 12 schedule, including what we would put in for the first game, the first home game, what to do during the bye week, what the rivalry game we want to look like actually is. So we'll discuss that coming up again in about 25 or 30 minutes. For the time being, our question of the day is this. What is the first thing all of you will look for when the Big 12 schedule is released finally and you see BYU's 2023 rundown? At Nate Crowley on Twitter says, where's the bye? That's number one. Wow. Who gets to come to Provo in November? And who's in the rivalry game slot? Hashtag BYUSN.
All right, join Spencer, Dave McCann, and me at 2 p.m. Eastern today as we react live to the release of the Big 12 football schedule. Watch it live on the BYUtv app and on BYUSN.com.
Listen, if BYU is going to play UCF, just make it happen in November on the road, okay? Give me an Orlando trip in November.
Look, every BYU fan wants to go.
Up next, Mark Durant. He's a well-traveled man. He's also going to tell us that this BYU basketball team has in some way overachieved. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by BYU Food to Go, the MVP of your next event.
When my grandfather started this company in 1947, he couldn't have envisioned what we would ultimately become. We realized that our value to our customers is that we will be there day after day, year after year, doing whatever we need to find solutions to the challenges that they face. We are committed to be honestly better in all that we do, in every opportunity that we have to serve our customers.
BYU Food to Go's convenient location at 2191 North Canyon Road in Provo makes bringing popular BYU foods to your next event easy. Everything's ready when you need it at the drive and load pickup. You drive in and they load no matter the weather. And stop in the on-site creamery for great BYU chocolate milk and ice cream. BYU Food to Go, bringing campus to your table. Call for details, 801-422-5001.
BYU men's hoops dreams are flying high, but before hitting the hardwoods of the Big 12, they're shooting to leave their royal blue imprint on the courts of the WCC. Join us for BYU Sports Nation Game Day as we chat it up with Coach Pope on the team's growth, dive deep into player profiles, and keep it real on the Cougs' big dance chances. It's time to raise the spirited Y banner on our final tour of the WCC. BYU Sports Nation Game Day. Tune in, join us.
I like those words, Jason, and in your own voice. BYU gets the win. The BYU basketball team hunting for a win against LMU on Thursday. We welcome you back to Studio B with your day-to-day BYU sports play-by-play. I am Spencer Linton alongside Jason Shepard. Yeah, it's football schedule release day, and we all know that's top of mind. Everybody's super stoked about that, but we are in the middle of a West Coast Conference basketball season and the finale for this BYU team. With that in mind, we welcome in Mark Durant. And I give you that basketball information and set it up that way, but Mark, I know you're a huge BYU football fan as well. So I feel like it's only appropriate on this day, even though you're a basketball expert and savant, that we go with the football question. And that is, what are you looking forward to most, or looking for most, when that Big 12 football schedule is released in a little under 2 hours?
Hey, listen, it's exciting day. I've been looking forward to this for a long time, like most BYU fans. It's been a long time coming, and I just want to see, guys, BYU's name on the board. I still think we're kind of being punked at this point. I want to see BYU actually scheduled, and then I know it's real, and then I'll be happy. But whatever. I mean, it would be fun to get Oklahoma in here because they won't be around. We've had Texas here, but it sounds like that might not happen. But whatever. I mean, I just want to see BYU's name up there. That's all I care about.
Hey, if anybody sees Ashton Kutcher anywhere near this Big 12 schedule release, we need something's up. You don't need to be punked on this. So would it be safe to say? So are you? I don't want to put words in your mouth. I would assume it's basketball, but are you more excited about the football schedule release or whenever the basketball schedule is released?
Well, listen, I know football is where BYU's bread is buttered, and historically, and I get it. I love BYU football, but as far as conference goes, the Big 12 is a great basketball conference, the best conference in the country, and has historic programs and the best teams in the country right now. So, of course, I'm excited. Because I want to go in some of these venues that I've only seen on TV, and I'm so personally, for me, the Big 12 basketball is cooler and more important. But I certainly get the excitement about football, and I know that's where kind of the excitement often lies with BYU fans. But I'm just excited about going into some of these basketball venues, and we get so excited for Gonzaga in that game, and even St. Mary's, but in the Big 12, it's you got 10 or 11 of those types of games, and it's going to be really cool.
Mark, I get it. I just think about, what will Fog Allen Fieldhouse be like when BYU rolls in to take on the Kansas Jayhawks? That is such an exciting thought for everybody across the BYU sports community. It's also a terrifying thought because it feels like every Big 12 basketball team is on par with Gonzaga and St. Mary's. It's one of those two teams every night in the Big 12 is currently constituted. With that in mind, it's still about the West Coast Conference right now, and BYU's coming off another heartbreaking loss to one of those elite level teams in the WCC. Which one of those losses is more difficult for you to stomach? The Gonzaga letdown over the final minute, or that last second dagger once again from Aiden Mahaney and St. Mary's?
Oh man, fellas, it's been brutal. I mean, maybe you get one of those heartbreakers in a year, but the two of them on your home court against those teams, that's rough. I'd say Gonzaga. I think it's like being in the ring with Mike Tyson, and that the first hit was Gonzaga, and after that hit, you don't really remember a whole lot. You just keep getting hit, but you're not really cognizant of what's happening. And so the Gonzaga one really staggered me. I mean, that was really hard and also I think that game was a game that really BYU was in control. I mean, they had it. Just take care of the basketball, make your free throws, and you don't lose that game. St. Mary's, it was kind of going back and forth there, and either team had a really good chance to win that. But listen, it's tough, and to have those opportunities and be in a position to win and play so well. I mean, BYU, say what you want about this season, but in those two games, they played great basketball, and I just felt really bad for those guys to have that opportunity and just have it be snatched away in those situations. Listen, basketball is a fickle mistress, and it's crazy how a season even can turn on the slightest things. And if you win those 2 games, you're, towards the top of the conference. You're looking at an NIT bid, and everything's great in Zion, right? But 2 shots go in that are tough shots, and it's a whole different world for you, right?
Yeah.
And so it's tough, man. It's really hard to bounce back from that. And we'll see how this team does.
Travis Hansen was on the program yesterday, and he said he actually feels like BYU basketball has overachieved this year. What do you make of those comments? Do you agree?
Well, I always agree with Travis Hansen because he knows what he's talking about and is an all-timer and is just one of the best guys out there. I mean, he's just a fantastic individual, and I would generally agree. I look at this team, and I've seen a lot of teams, and I think most BYU fans can look at a team and know kind of about how they're made up, whether they're playing to their potential, how hard they're playing. And I think this team does play hard. I mean, if you play, look at what they did with St. Mary's. St. Mary's is the #1 defensive rebounding team in the country and one of the top rebounding teams altogether in the country.
Yeah.
BYU puts on the floor Husseini Traore, who's 6'7", Traden Christensen, who's 6'6", and St. Mary's has one 7-footer after another, and they're big all the way around. And BYU out-rebounds them on the offensive boards. That doesn't happen unless you are ferocious in your effort. And so I think they are playing hard. And part of the problem is, you mentioned Travis Hansen. Part of the problem is BYU doesn't have a Travis Hansen or an Alex Barcelo or kind of a star to lead their team and go and get them 20, 25 points a night. So it's more by committee, and I just don't think they have, and I don't want to say talent because you have talented guys, but they don't have a superstar. They don't have a lot of things that where you would expect, when you're looking at a great team, you see those Travis Hansens, you see those guys. So to that extent, I think they are overperforming. They're in games. They don't ever get blown out. They have a chance in the games, but they're falling short because they just don't have enough offensive, because Travis Hansen, when he was there in the last 2 minutes of the game, Travis Hansen would get you a bucket.
Yes.
And I don't know that they really have that guy. And so then the question is, well, you got to recruit those guys. And if you want to be critical of Mark Pope, maybe you say you need to bring in better players so you're not having to overperform. But I think with this team, and I'm not saying they're bad, I think they got great players and they're doing really well in a lot of ways. But I think this team is playing pretty close to their potential. Now, I'd like to see more consistency, and I'd like to see more consistency of effort on the road, like at San Francisco and Santa Clara. But overall, I think they are playing well, and they are getting a lot out of what they have. And but I think there's room for improvement, and they can finish strong and do some good things.
Great insight from Mark Duran, who joins us on BYU Sports Nation. And Mark, you're right. And I've been trying to think about the last time BYU didn't have an alpha that you want to have the ball with under 2 minutes to play. You got to go back a long time, maybe to Steve Cleveland's final year in 04-05 when BYU did struggle. Because after that, they always had somebody. They had Keena Young, and they had Jimmer Fredette, Jonathan Tavernari, Tyler Haas, Brandon Davies, Kyle Collinsworth, Chase Fisher, Yoli Childs, TJ Haas, Jake Toolson, Alex Barcelo. There's always been at least one. So how do you overcome that? And what's the ceiling for a team that doesn't have that guy?
Yeah, I mean, that's really the question, is how you can overcome that. Well, the effort I talked about will keep you in games. And rebounding, defense and rebounding has kept BYU in games to cover some of the deficiencies we're talking about. You don't need to have a superstar to play good defense. You don't need to have a superstar to rebound. So I think the thing they need to really focus on now is really, because they're going to be in games, right? And what you want is to get the 1-point win rather than the 1-point loss. And so what is it? Well, value the basketball, take care of the basketball. BYU had a critical late turnover against St. Mary's. Obviously, some terrible turnovers against Gonzaga. missed free throws against St. Mary's and Gonzaga. I mean, those are two things that you can work on and try and get better at, and then maybe you win by one instead of lose by one. It's not like there's a big gulf for them, but it's the real challenge now, guys, right, will be BYU's gone about 3 weeks with a single win at home and 2 just absolutely devastating losses. So when you're a player and a coach and you've gone 3 weeks without really winning a game, that is pure misery and torture. And how does the locker room stand up under that kind of pressure? You had a few guys miss a game because they broke team rules. Can they just hold it together? Because if they hold it together and play hard, they're in games. But I worry that this prolonged stretch of heartbreak and disappointment and losing games, eventually that's going to get to a team. So I'm curious to see how they'll play this week.
Mark, we appreciate the time as always, talking football and basketball. Huge contest for the Cougars when they take on a team on the rise. It just won at Gonzaga, LMU, on Thursday. I know you're looking forward to that one. We can't wait to hear the call, man.
Yeah, my favorite player in college basketball, Leo Pepe. I mean, he looks like a giant Jason Shepard with a mullet. And this guy is something. But
I gotta go see if I can find one of those. Yeah, find one of those wigs and wear it.
Leia Shepard.
Yeah.
But listen, I love being on with you guys, and I love being on TV. I think it's a real travesty that Gregory Bell and myself, as handsome as we are, have to be on the radio. I mean, I think that's just terrible for the fans, but that's the way it goes.
Let's get you a video blog going, man.
Let's do it.
We can make that happen. Hey, Mark, great to talk to you. Take care.
We do. Hey, I love you guys. Thanks for having me. We'll see you.
Thanks, Mark. Talk to you Thursday.
Former BYU basketball player and current BYU basketball radio analyst Mark Duran on BYU Sports Nation. He's always a treat, and I appreciate his well-thought-out opinions. For those that don't know, Mark, he's a lawyer and a successful lawyer, and he's very well-spoken, and I think he has one of the most underrated senses of humor of anybody in the BYU fan base, right?
He's phenomenal. I get a chance to talk with him every pregame. We do our courtside conversation with Mark Duran on BYU Radio. And, that roughly 10 minutes that I get to talk with him before every game, it's always amazing. I just love talking with him.
We got to get you the Jerry curl wig. And you're Leia Shepard.
All right, let's make it happen. Somebody's gonna find something.
That thin mustache.
I'm gonna end up wearing this at some point.
Mullet,
I can just see it.
And you become Leia Shepard.
All right, that's fantastic, actually. All right, join us on BYU Sports Nation for Wednesday's February signing day. We'll introduce you to all the latest in the BYU football signing class, as well as hear from head coach Kalani Sitake. Join us at noon Eastern on BYUtv, BYU Radio, or the apps.
Up next, we think Jamal Williams is about to get a significant bag of cash. You know what? Puka Nacua might get one too. Cougar Whip Run is up next on BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
If you're looking to build your brand awareness and increase market share as BYU moves into the Big 12, this is the place, BYU Athletics. We can provide the tools you need to make sure your company is seen and heard. BYU Athletics is where you can align your products and services with loyal fans that cheer for our Cougars. And they can also help your business win. Learn more about what a partnership with BYU Athletics and your company will look like. After all, this is the place. Email sponsorship at byu.edu today.
Dexter & Dexter is a full-service law firm offering a wide range of legal services. Since 1995, we have helped more than 20,000 Utahns both to navigate life's challenges and to make the most of life's opportunities. From auto accidents to criminal defense, and from bankruptcy to family law, we are passionate about shouldering your burdens. To learn more about scheduling a no-obligation consultation, visit dexterlaw.com.
Hey family, if you're looking for something new to watch, stop scrolling and start streaming. BYUtv has a ton of great options to binge together. From bold adventure to family drama and even a little fun, there's something for everyone. Binge entire series, experience all the feels, immerse in non-stop intrigue, and treat yourself to unexpected turns. Think you know BYUtv? We're just getting started.
This is BYU Sports Nation. To interact with the show and get great content throughout the day, follow us on our social media platforms on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok.
And on Be Real. Okay, no, just kidding. We don't do the Be Real thing. He is Jason.
I've never even heard of Be Real, so.
It's a new thing. It's a new social media platform where you just take a picture of yourself in a real situation. Like,
isn't that every social media platform?
Well, people tend to elaborate their status and.
So is this one like what's actually happening?
Yeah, they're like, hey, you need to take a picture in the next 10 seconds. Like, where are you right now? What are you doing? And so you just snap a photo. Jason, I don't know.
I can't keep up with all the social media stuff.
We just need to be real on this show.
We're real. Okay? We're the realest of real.
This is real. It's live.
You know what's real? The Big 12 schedule release today.
Yes.
That's really happening.
In an hour and 24 minutes, but who's counting? We absolutely are. Let's whip it. The Cougar Whip Round presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner. Be real. Gotta take a picture.
You almost scared me with that. All right, which BYU Cougar at the Senior Bowl? So Blake Freeland, Jaron Hall, and Puka Nacua has the best chance to improve their draft stock this week.
Jaron Hall. It's just the most visible position. Anytime a quarterback is in the conversation, especially a BYU quarterback, knowing what has happened recently with BYU quarterbacks, it's going to be Jaron Hall. I think right now he's probably a 4th or a 5th rounder. If he has a good Senior Bowl week and crushes it at the Combine and BYU Pro Day, he can slide up to that 3rd round, Jason. So I think it's probably Jaron Hall just because he is a quarterback and there's natural attention paid there.
I agree. It's the highest of high-profile positions in sports. And look, it's not just that we think that. There's already been national publications, and I wish I could remember who it was that put that out there, that they think he has the best chance of all the other quarterbacks that will be participating to leap up and get people's attention. So yeah, I agree with you that it's Jaron Hall.
I want it to be Puka Nacua because I think he is highly underrated player.
A case can be made that it is Puka simply because he's further down what you would assume the draft boards are.
Yes.
So if anybody can make the highest jump, it would be Puka. If you want to go that way, I could certainly understand that argument.
Blake Freeland's stock is already really good.
Yes.
That's to his credit.
Speaking of bags of cash, he's going to get some.
Woo. Let's stay with the Senior Bowl. NFL.com article from Eric Edholm says the following about Jaron Hall.
There we go.
One scout I spoke with believes Hall has the best chance to emerge from the group. We just talked about that. He continues, but he also worries about the quarterback's age. He'll be a 25-year-old rookie and does have upside. Will Jaron Hall be the most talked about quarterback at the end of Senior Bowl week?
Oh, I hope so. Look, and based off of the arguments that we just made, if he's the guy that's going to make the biggest leap, I think then that answers that question pretty clearly, that of all the quarterbacks that are there, he'd be the one that people are talking about.
Yes.
Look, and we know how important these are. You have scouts, you have NFL coaches. They're all there. All eyes are on these players because as we heard last week, at this point now you've got the coaches involved. Before it was just NFL scout people. Now that most everybody's season is over, now you've got just instead of just scouting departments involved, now you've got coaches, you've got position coaches, you've got head coaches. They're now all involved in paying attention to this stuff. So I certainly hope that he is the answer.
He has every opportunity to do it. For better or worse, because the age thing is always going to be a thing unless you don't go on a mission, but Jaron Hall is a mission guy from BYU. And I don't want it to be a thing, but there's still some extra attention being cast on BYU because of Zach Wilson. Jaron Hall is the dude that follows Zach Wilson. So it was like, oh, okay, so this is the guy after Zach Wilson. This is another BYU quarterback. Like, is he going to be a guy like Zach Wilson? No. Like, Jaron and Zach could not be more different. Different scenarios. They're just two totally different
people, different players, everything.
Different styles. Yes. But that will be talked about because Jaron's the guy after Zach Wilson.
All right, an ESPN article says that Jamal Williams is the natural re-signing for the Detroit Lions for the locker room and the culture of the team. Jay Swagdaddy is an unrestricted free agent. Will he be in Detroit next season?
Absolutely. He's the defender of the hidden 10. He's the Jay Swag Kazekage. Okay? You gonna get rid of that guy? The Detroit Lions.
Somebody who can be real.
Yes. Give him a deal already with Downy paper towels for his wings. Give him everything. He's worth it. I want him to be a BYUtv football analyst, and I don't care what it costs. He'll be worth every penny to bring him back when he's done playing football.
Goodness. Can you imagine him on the broadcast? He would be amazing.
All that said, yeah, the Lions would be insane to not bring Jamal Williams back. He is so great for the fan base. He's great for the city, great for the whole franchise. He lifts his teammates. Jamal Williams is a dude that is a natural leader in that locker room. And look what they did this past season. Jared Goff's starting to find his groove. They have some nice young talent at the wide receiver position. Their offensive line's pretty good, Jason. The Lions might be a decent team again.
They will be a very trendy pick for sure. Next year.
For sure.
As they should be.
If they don't sign Jamal Williams, what is management doing? What are you doing?
How long has Detroit been looking for the next Barry Sanders? And I'm not saying that he's the same type of player. It's not what I'm saying. But you just had the guy, granted with one more game than what Barry had, but eclipse Barry Sanders' single-season rushing touchdown.
Yeah.
You can't have that performance and then let the guy walk to another team. He will be back.
And especially because of who he is, how he carries himself.
You want him on your roster.
Right now, he's valued, and I just looked at a number of different sites that value current players, as the number 13 to 16 best running back in the game. At his age and this year, they value him at somewhere around $4 to $4.5 million a year.
I also value myself at that range.
Well, you're worth more than that, Jason.
Just being real.
Be real. Was the TCU Big 12 schedule leak that we just talked about a few minutes ago intentional to create buzz, or is someone, unfortunately, probably going to lose their job?
Well, let's certainly hope nobody loses their job over something like this. I don't know. The fact that it hasn't been taken down, at least last that we checked, maybe it was to create. Okay, so I'm being told it was taken down. I kept seeing it, so I just assumed it was still up. The fact that it was taken down, yes, you can still grab screenshots because that's what everybody does these days. It sounds like somebody jumped the gun. Somebody got a stern talking to, I'm sure, but hopefully nobody lost a job over it.
We don't want people to lose jobs. And really, is it that? I know the Big 12 is probably upset if it did indeed come out and it is the actual schedule. But we don't know. We won't really know until we see what TCU's schedule
Based off of what TCU did for the conference last year, it's probably the one team that can get away with it based off of how they perform. Now, granted, not in the final game, but the notoriety that they gave to be able to go to the college football playoff.
Yeah, well, just find somebody to blame it on that's not going to lose their job.
Blame it on an algorithm.
It was a rogue algorithm.
We got hacked.
Yes.
We got hacked. Everybody got hacked when something comes out that they didn't want.
Some rogue hacker, in some Eastern European country. Blame it on that guy for releasing the TCU schedule.
All right. If you missed any of our BYUtv sports interviews, shows, or games, or hey, you just want to watch them all over again, go to BYUSN.com or download the BYUtv app to get all the BYUtv sports content on demand.
Which team do we want to see as BYU football's rivalry week opponents in year one of the Big 12? Is it Texas? Taysom would love that. This is BYU Sports Nation.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Maersk, your e-commerce logistics shipping partner.
Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork offers a large inventory of Ford vehicles, including a selection of cars and trucks, providing a range of transportation choices. From the Ford Fusion sedan and the Edge crossover SUV to a range of pickups including the F-150. Each product line comes with options to enhance performance, comfort, and safety. Think Ford, think Tim Daly Ford in Spanish Fork.
Trio Orem Senior Living believes in empowering seniors to live life to the fullest. We help eliminate stress out of daily life when you live at Trio. Less time focusing on housework means you can socialize at one of our many events, with safety in mind, of course. And did we mention our spacious apartments with modern amenities? Learn more about setting up a private tour at trioorem.com.
Accidents don't just happen 9 to 5. They happen when you least expect them. The team at Siegfried & Jensen is here for you 24/7. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour. Really here for you. No matter when you call us, you'll speak to a real person and have access to the same expertise and personal attention as always, and get the legal help you need when you need it. Nights, weekends, every day, every hour, 24/7.
Learn more at siegfriedandjensen.com.
I was 4 years old when I left Zambia. My dad was born in Sheila, in the south of Italy.
My mom is from Slovakia. We haven't really talked about it, never, not once.
My dad doesn't really talk about his life in Serbia. I just really want to know who he is. And then discover who am I.
Welcome back to Big 12 schedule release countdown in Studio B. We're an hour and 14 minutes away.
We should actually have done a countdown to the schedule release. We haven't been able to do that. Now at least know when it's happening.
Now we know. Speaking of the schedule release, let's just kind of piece together some of the things that we are hoping for. And I know that the TCU schedule release has impacted this a little bit, at least for me, because I looked at my dream schedule that I put together back in July and had to maneuver some things based on what TCU had done. But there are still some scenarios I want to see play out here, Jason. So, who do you want for BYU in their initial Big 12 conference home opener, and why?
I go back to what I said to answer the question of what I'm going to look for first. When you think Big 12, you think Texas.
Okay.
I would love for BYU's first foray into the Big 12, the very first game that they play, is against the Texas Longhorns for that very reason.
You want Sark in LaBelle Edwards Stadium.
I would love to have Sark. I highly doubt if Texas and BYU are going to play to begin the conference schedule that BYU is going to get the luxury of having that in Provo.
It's probably going to be
in Austin. But you know what? To be able to have that to start this new era, I cannot think of a better team to do it against.
It's a dream scenario.
Yes.
If it's not Texas, Jason, for me, it's Oklahoma. BYU has never hosted Oklahoma. BYU has played Oklahoma in 2 neutral site games. They beat Oklahoma in 1994 in the Copper Bowl, and then they beat Oklahoma in Jerry's World in
2009.
It's called Dallas, but it's not Dallas.
It's in
Arlington.
Yeah.
So BYU has played Oklahoma twice, but at neutral sites. So again, I said it earlier, I just want BYU to play Oklahoma. I don't really care where the game is. Just want BYU to have a chance to play either at Oklahoma's field or have Oklahoma in Provo. It would be pretty spectacular for BYU to host that Sooner Red in LaBelle Edwards Stadium to open up the Big 12 campaign. That would be pretty cool.
All right, what about the road opener? We talked about the home opener, but what about the road opener for you?
I kind of want BYU to face one of the new teams, and not just any one of the new teams, but a team that's got some nice national cachet. I think it would be a really intriguing matchup if BYU played at Cincinnati. They've played there before, but Cincinnati's been doing some great things. Obviously, they broke the college football playoff barrier as a group of 5 team 2 seasons ago. Cincy's a great program, and I like the idea of that, 2 new teams in the new Big 12. BYU and Cincinnati, they're both like in their own right, and BYU's been there, has gone there too, has been a Group of 5 team that's had some recent, rising and had nice national cachet. That's a fun match to be. At Cincinnati, it'd be a fun road opener.
So for me, if I'm going with my dream scenario of Texas being the home opener, the road opener, you're certainly not going to get Texas and Oklahoma in Provo.
You imagine? you open up home against Texas, and then you got to go on the road to Oklahoma?
I'm saying Oklahoma because I think it would be very cool, first of all, to be able to play both of them. If you get a chance to play both of them, I think that's certainly what you want. But again, if I'm going to get Texas at home, you're going to Norman to face Oklahoma, and I think that would be really cool to see BYU on the field in Norman against Oklahoma.
You want to cover both sides of the Red River rivalry, right?
You cover it right out of the gate.
All right.
And then you settle in for the guys that you're going to be in the conference with for the next several decades.
Texas and Oklahoma know a thing or two about rivalries. And we have the option of a rivalry week opponent. Final week of the regular season. Who is the team that you are penciling in for BYU's rivalry week showdown?
I told you I went back and forth. I thought TCU was one. Kind of like, nah.
Okay.
I thought Baylor. Baylor, because of the history that we've seen the last 2 years, as you mentioned earlier in the show, 1-1. BYU loses in Waco. They beat Baylor this last year here in Provo. I didn't go Baylor, however. I went Houston.
Ooh.
I think there's something about the battle of the Cougars.
Okay.
You've got the Red Cougars and the Blue Cougars. I think there's something that can be worked there. Plus, there have been some pretty epic games between these two teams. We obviously remember the games where the offenses could not be stopped I think at the time it was Reliant Stadium where the Texans,
in 2013, that 47-46 game.
I'm going to say I think there could be something there, BYU versus Houston, the two Cougar teams.
I like that. I'm going to go with Baylor for all the reasons I stated earlier. And there's just so much off-the-field stuff going on with the transfer portal and former coaches. And it's not just football, too. It's Caleb Lohner and BYU basketball, too. So, and there have been some great games between BYU and Baylor. They've split them in the 4 times they've played, 2-2. I love that series. So I am absolutely putting Baylor in as my rivalry week opponent. Okay, coming off the bye week, what do you want?
Well, if we are to believe that the TCU game is October 14th, I wouldn't mind having a bye right before that. That kind of puts it fairly close to the middle of the season. Plus, even though TCU is going to lose their top receiver, their quarterback, they were getting a lot of transfer players in. Still going to be a very good team. And if you're going there, I would like to have a bye before that.
Okay. One, I want my bye week to be during conference weekend for BYU fans. Okay. Dream scenario, probably not going to happen. Coming off that bye week, hopefully over conference, I would love to see BYU play Texas. Some extra time to prepare for Steve Sarkisian and the Longhorns, who are going to be loaded. Yes, they are. Talent once again. In fact, I think Texas might be picked to win Big 12 this year. They're
they would love to do that.
Really good.
If this is their last year.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Just like BYU and all the West Coast Conference seasons want to go out on top for sure. There is something to that. All right, Jason, we've given you our dream scenarios. We're an hour and 8 minutes away on this Countdown to Schedule release show.
Yes, indeed. All right, plan to be with us tonight for BYU basketball with Mark Pope, the coach, and Dallin Hall. Join Greg Wrubell for a full hour of Cougar Hoops talk. The show starts tonight, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time on the BYUtv app.
What is it about guys with the last name Hall? Man, they're just so good at BYU. Up next, the top 5 individual NFL campaigns in 2023 by former BYU Cougars. Who's number 1 on your list? Is it that guy, Taysom Hill? This is BYU Sports Nation.
BYU Sports Nation is presented by the BYU Store, official outfitter of BYU fans everywhere.
Introducing the truck for adventure. The all-new 2022 Nissan Frontier doesn't compromise on power or comfort. This midsize truck was redesigned to incorporate the latest technology and designs for safety, comfort, and convenience. Plus, with up to 6,700 pounds of towing capacity and best-in-class horsepower, it's rugged enough for adventure and still safe enough to transport all your favorite people. Where's your new frontier? You'll find it at Tim Dowling Nissan Southtown and South Jordan.
Do you ever feel small?
3, 2, 1, go!
Have regrets? I guess we all have them. And trust. That's tough to earn or regain.
You are the winner of Survival!
Glad we're doing this.
BYU men's hoops dreams are flying high. But before hitting the hardwoods of the Big 12, they're shooting to leave their royal blue imprint on the courts of the WCC. Join us for BYU Sports Nation Game Day as we chatted up with Coach Pope on the team's growth, dive deep into player profiles, and keep it real on the Cougs' big dance chances. It's time to raise the spirited Y banner on our final tour of the WCC. BYU Sports Nation Game Day. Tune in, join us.
This portion of BYU Sports Nation is presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics.
BYU Sports Nation is on demand. Download the free BYUtv and BYU radio apps, or listen to the podcast. While you're there, subscribe, rate, and review.
Top 5 Tuesday is all about the top 5 individual NFL player campaigns in 2023. Andy Reid's a coach, so he doesn't qualify even though he's awesome. Start us off, Jason.
All right, number 5, we have Kyle Van Noy, who joined the Chargers this last offseason after a second stint with the Patriots. Van Noy was tied for 3rd on the team in sacks with 5. He and the Chargers advanced to the playoffs for the first time since 2018.
At number 4, he used to wear number 4. Taysom Hill, the NFL Swiss Army knife, repping the Saints, had a 75.6 grade on Pro Football Focus, 892 total yards of offense this season. He's also the first player in the NFL's modern history to now have scored 10 touchdowns rushing, receiving, and passing. Incredible.
At number 3, we're looking at rookie Tyler Algier, who began his NFL career in record-breaking fashion. Algier set the Falcons' rookie rushing record with 1,035 yards. He also scored 4 TDs on the season.
Number 2, Jay Swag Daddy Jamal Williams set the single-season touchdown record for the Detroit Lions, breaking Barry Sanders' record. He has 17 this season. Williams, a force to be reckoned with. He also went over 1,000 yards rushing on the ground, even as a guy that was behind DeAndre Swift on the depth chart.
At number 1, Fred Warner, don't call him Pete, widely believed to be the best linebacker in the NFL. Warner led the team in tackles with 130, while also helping the 49ers advance to their 2nd straight NFC champion.
All-Pro Fred, our question of the day: what's the first thing you will look for when the BYU Big 12 schedule is released? Our elite voice of the day, presented by PAX Healthcare Elevated. Kevin Lunt on Instagram says, I'm looking for BYU's first home game. The Big 12 schedule is why I'm applying for grad school instead of graduating this year.
Just sticking around for one more.
Today's Rise and Shout Out presented by Mountain America, the official credit union of BYU Athletics. Let's give it to the TCU, whoever it was, person that released that little bit of schedule that unfortunately pressed send. Before we go, I should point out that we are 63 minutes away from the schedule release, Jason. We've got our big show coming up at noon Eastern.
Cannot wait. Conversation continues 24/7 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. This and all of our shows on demand on BYUSN.com.
For Jason, I'm supposed to shout out to Steve Sarkisian. Join us on BYUSN.com for the live schedule release show coming up at noon.